You know, I think that now this is just a conjecture, this action of putting the one leg over the other, which is not really comfortable for me. Um, could it be possible that it has aggravated like the, whatever those muscles are that run right down between your trunk and your leg?
The IT band?
Yeah, or the groin muscle right there,
Oh,
because it seems like that.
So here's
These I've had some issues with that.
so here's the thing. Whenever a lesson is difficult or a movement is difficult, that's an invitation to pull back, to really pull back and study what is easy. And you find your easy range, which is not easy for us to do as Americans who are trained from birth to strive, right? So to accomplish, to achieve. So if one approaches these lessons in such a manner, it is very possible that they can get hurt, and sometimes quite badly. So that's part of the learning process that we're engaged in, right? Because we all have our own histories, and we all have our own things, and we all have our own images of ourselves and our attitudes that we carry around with us about our bodies and what we think our body should, could, or won't, or can't do. And so the lessons are really, it's like an arena in which to explore all those different facets of yourself. So the lessons are not really, I mean, they are about movement, but that's sort of an aside. Yes, you improve. Yes, yes, things do. But it's really about awareness and learning where are your boundaries. Talking about, debates. When you know your boundaries, you can respect someone else's. But if you have no boundaries, how can you respect anyone else's boundaries? You don't even know what they are, right? So maybe we should read one of Feldenkrais's books. Rich, did you discover which ones? Did you discover which ones are online?
Potent Self.
Oh, wow.
And the Awareness of Movement.
Awareness through movement. Okay, that's his sort of treatise on the method. And that would be a really good starting place, because the Potent Self is like a hydrogen bomb. Yeah. So okay, great. If those who enjoy reading on tablets, so it's our internet archives.
Right. You can Google that or archive.org.
Archive.org. Okay.
Out of San Francisco, actually.
Yes, I think that company started the Wayback Machine.
Yes.
Yeah. They want to put all books online. They're scanning all books in the world.
Wow.
Put online. So that when the electricity goes out, we'll have nothing to read.
Or when the stuff that's uncomfortable for a particular organization, it gets removed.
Right. It's easier than burning the book. Right.
Right.
Modern book burning. So, okay, well, today's lesson, I thought a lot about what to teach today because it is Independence Day. And I was thinking how one of my teachers kept stressing the word precise when she would teach. You must be precise in how you perform the movement and how you think about the movement. It's precision that will guide you to greater freedom. So because if you don't know where you are and you're just sort of all over the place, you're sort of hit or miss. So I think this lesson has a lot to do with precision. Okay, well, since, yeah, okay, let's go ahead and lie down. It's hot. Go ahead, lie down. It's hot. So the lesson, I'll just give this little caveat. The lesson is done on the side. So if you already know that you might be happier with a head support, go ahead and grab it and keep it near your person. You might be a lot happier. You can also use your underneath arm, and at some point we will be using the underneath arm, and we will ditch the head support. But if you need a little something, please feel free to make yourself as comfortable as possible, because you can't learn if we're not comfortable. So that's one of the requirements. That's where learning and training are very different. Learning and training are very different. So just take a moment to get in contact with your contact with the floor. And if the points of contact, let's see, the elbows, the head, the heels, other parts that are a clear contact, if those places were stars in the night sky, what sort of constellation would you be? And notice your breathing. You can fill in the space there in between the stars with breath. And you can roll your head and feel which side might be more comfortable this morning. And then rest your head, and can you get in touch with something of a central axis? So if you were to, let's say with a laser, go through the top of your skull, and that light could shine down through you and out the middle of your pelvis. Let's say your perineum, in between the genitals. How are you arranged around that central axis, that imaginary central axis? So are there places that are closer to midpoint than others? Is one leg closer to that line? If it went through space out between your legs, is one leg closer to it? And then notice how wide apart your heels are relative to your knees. And how wide apart your heels are relative to your pelvis. And how wide are your heels relative to your shoulders? And could you turn your right leg so that it's parallel, so that the toes face the ceiling? The back of the heel is touching the floor. And then very lightly, just brush the heel and the whole leg to the right and to the left, keeping the leg parallel, and doing it in a way that's very light. So the back of the heel sort of sweeps along the floor, and just feel how easy is that to go away, further away from this central axis and come back. And what do you can do this, you can pause many times during this lesson because it involves the stabilizers in our core. So where do you stabilize in yourself to enable the leg to move? And if you're dealing with a challenging situation, then you respect that. And if any of the movements set something off, well, then you just imagine the movement, or you do a millimeter, which is the thickness of a dime. A millimeter is the thickness of a dime. So you can make a very small movement and still sense that something inside of you has to stabilize. And then rest that side, rest that leg. And then go ahead and turn the left leg so that it's parallel. And the back of the heel looks at the floor, and sweep this leg towards and away from your central axis. And now compare. Compare. How is this side different? How do you organize? How might you organize yourself differently in your interior with this side? And again, it's not about how far you go. So if you notice, well, we're going to do both together in a moment. So just notice, does this leg go further than the other side or less? Does it go further, easier, or does it go less far? Does it go 2 millimeters as opposed to 1? And pause. And then engage your legs so that both knees, kneecaps look at the ceiling, and sweep them away from the center and back. And whichever leg goes less far, have the other leg match it, which is usually the opposite of what we do. We have one leg that's further and easier and freer, and so we try to make the other leg catch up to it. But here in Feldenkrais, we do the opposite. So we want to find first the range of comfort, the ease, and then we want to match it so that we can find symmetry and ease together. So we take care of that competition. Okay, take a rest. And now come onto your left side. Come onto your left side. And you can grab your head support if you need, and have your knees drawn up one on top of the other. And have your top arm on the floor in front. So it can act as a sort of a support. Have the hand standing on the floor, the elbow in the air. And now check in with yourself. Are you on your side, or is some part of you rolled to the front or rolled to the back? So I can see, Stephanie, your pelvis and your shoulders are rolled more towards the back. So maybe it feels like you're on your side. But what if you were to sort of scooch your ribs and turn them so that you could be really on top? Yeah, your right shoulder can be over your left shoulder, your right side of your pelvis over your left. There you go. And then from here, could you just lift and lower the top leg, keeping it bent as it is? Just lift it and lower it. You're going to accept a pillow in between your knees and then set the leg back down. And notice if you roll towards the back and then back towards your side as you lift. And go ahead and do that so that you lift the leg and the foot as well. The whole leg lifts, But the knee can turn towards the ceiling, and the leg can roll. You can roll towards your back, yeah. And then you come back onto your side. You roll and find the easiest, lightest way to do that, as though your leg weighs nothing. So your leg weighs nothing. And the next time you set the knee down, could you set it in front of the other knee? So you set down the right leg in front of the left, which means that your pelvis will roll forward. And just pause there for a moment. Feel that asymmetry in the knees, the legs. And then from here, in the lightest way possible, could you bring your top leg away from the floor and back down? Almost that you don't even have to use the leg, but you could use something else. But the leg would just be levitating away from the floor. So does that mean that you roll? Can you set the leg down gingerly, lightly? Just let it settle down like a feather floating down to earth, or a dandelion seed floating down. And notice what working with yourself in this kind of precision and lightness does to how you feel when you take the struggle out. Does it feel nice? Does it feel like you're not working hard enough? If something should be working more, does it feel too easy? Rest with that leg on top of your other leg. Notice if you rolled back towards your back, and adjust so that you're really on your side. And then can you just lift the whole leg, the foot and the knee, away from the bottom leg, keeping the leg parallel to the wall in front of you. So you stay on your side and there's no rolling forward or back. There's no rolling forward or back. So you might not want to do this movement a lot of times because it can be tiring. So refresh your senses as you need to. But feel what you do with the side that's closest to the floor in order to keep from rolling the pelvis, in order to keep from rolling or turning the spine. You just lift the leg a little away and place it back. The knee stays over the knee, so it's just the knee lifting away from the top knee. And the top foot lifting away from the bottom foot. And now could you, with your top arm, begin to stroke down your thigh of your top leg. Stroke down the thigh and stroke down the outside of the leg. So last week we were on our backs and we were stroking up the leg and the leg was in the air. So today we're going to stroke down the leg until you might reach your ankle with your top arm. So what do you need to do with yourself so that your hand could potentially reach your ankle? What do you need to do with yourself so you could stroke down and catch hold of the outer border of your foot? And the underneath leg stays on the floor. So you can bring the knee certainly closer to you. So just what do you do with yourself to bring the hand around so that it can hook under the outer border of the foot? and stick your thumb together with the rest of your fingers. So it's not a grasp, it's something different. So how close do you need to bring the knee to you? Do you move your head at all? Do you lift the head? Do you bring the head forward? Do you turn the head? What do you do? What does your spine need to do? Okay, this is excellent. Pause on your side. Now reach down and catch hold of that foot again in the same way on the outside with the thumb together with the rest of the fingers, and then just roll forward and backwards so that your knee can come down towards the floor and then it can come up towards the ceiling. And how do you, like a baby who's holding on to his foot, you did this many years ago, probably don't remember, but feel how the hip joints open and how they fold, what's required of your back, and how you engage with the floor. How do you engage with the floor? And then let that bring you all the way onto your back and take a rest. What does your constellation look like now? Come on to your other side. And first establish, be precise about your lying on your side. So if you were to drop a plumb line from the top shoulder down through the floor, would it exit the opposite shoulder at the same place that it pierces the top shoulder? And what about the pelvis? How far up do you have to have the knees for comfort? And have your hand, your top arm on the floor in front of you for stability. And lift the leg, lift the whole leg so that it rolls you backwards. Or could rolling backwards lift the leg? Which is it? You could lift the leg and roll backwards, or you could start to roll backwards and that would pull the leg. Which one would make it easier and lighter for the leg? And what's the very first thing that moves? Where does the movement initiate for you? You have the picture of the movement and then your intention. Your intention is what moves the muscles. So what's the first thing to engage that you can catch precisely in your awareness? And then if you were to just change one thing, the next time you lower the leg downwards, could you bring it to rest on the floor in front of the bottom leg? And could you do it in a way that the foot and the knee come to the floor at exactly the same moment? So here we start getting precise. And can coming back to the floor happen slower than coming away from the floor? So that reversibility becomes really possible. How does this affect your breathing? Are you breathing? Is there a place where you stop breathing? That would be a point of difficulty. So you can study that. Excellent. Pause there on your side. And begin to stroke down your hip and your thigh with your top arm. And reaching gradually for the knee, gradually for the calf. And finding the easiest path for that arm, for that shoulder, for that collarbone, for that shoulder blade, for your ribs, for your neck, to reach down the outside of the calf, reach down to the end of your tights or your pants, down to your ankle, and watch yourself. So observe yourself. Does the knee go towards the floor? Does the knee, or do you bring the knee towards the ceiling? Is that how you, what is your own personal signature for thinking that you could catch the outer border of your foot with your fingers, with like hooking around a ledge, along with your thumb? And your elbow is on the outside of the leg. Elbow is on the outside of the leg. And the leg can come as close to you as it needs to. It can turn in, it can turn out. You can roll forward, you can roll back. And what is that hip joint doing? What is the opposite hip joint doing? Pause. Next time your leg is down, pause. And now, correct yourself if you need to so that you're really on your side. And have your front arm in front of you for support to help stabilize. And then keeping your leg parallel, the top leg parallel, can you lift the foot and the knee away from the bottom foot and knee without any rolling whatsoever? No rolling of the pelvis, no rolling, no turning, and no turning of the knee towards the ceiling either. So the knee, it won't be a large movement. So if the knee is starting to look, the knee and the foot should stay in the same line. So go a little less rich, you're rolling. Just lift enough that the leg lifts just a little bit. There's no rolling. So that something has to happen along the side that's next to the floor, that you can feel the ribs, the hip, have to do something of a lateral movement towards and away from the floor. And then let's take a rest because that is tiring. You can always rest before you need to. So let's take a rest on the back. Come on to your original side. What side is that? Your left side. Come on to your left side. Draw up your knees. And reach down and catch hold of the outside, the outer border of your foot again with your top arm. So you can reach, you can go to the mountain or you can bring the mountain to you, right? Mohammed goes to the mountain. So bring your leg closer to you. And then can you, by keeping hold of your foot, can you do a funny thing? Can you bring the elbow to the inside of the knee and the knee to the outside of the elbow? So they exchange places, and then reverse that as you hold on to your foot. And you can roll, you can do anything in order to slip the knee on the other side of the arm and then the arm on the other side of the knee, or however you think of it. Keeping hold of your foot. And what do you need to do with your spine and your chest and your leg that's on the floor? And if you can't keep hold of your foot, if that's a struggle, then hold on to your ankle. Shorten the length a bit. But somehow you're a closed loop between your right hand and your right leg. And you can slip the knee in and out. And the hip joint is turning out and in. When might the knee turn to look at the ceiling? When might the knee turn to look at the floor? And rest on your back. Come again onto the same side. Come again onto the same side. Now we're going to drill down and get more precise. And can you reach down and take hold of your outer border of your right foot with your right hand, or bring your knee towards you so that you can take hold of the foot. Let your thumb be with the rest of your fingers. And staying on your side with your knee pointing forward and being in line with your foot and parallel to the floor, can you make little circles with your knee without the knee turning to look up towards the ceiling or look down at the floor? Make small circles. Be very precise and listen to what you do with the rest of yourself, because we have this pretty intense constraint. The arm holding onto the leg or folded. You're on your side, so you have to stabilize. So what do you do with your chest? How do you breathe? When do you need to rest before your body starts screaming? That's an important place to recognize. It's not about a large movement. Good, you're all resting. Let's rest. But stay on your side because we haven't gone the other direction. So see the picture of reaching to take hold of your foot. Then go ahead and start the engine and take hold of the foot and feel how you do that. And turn so that you're on your side and the leg is parallel, and go the other direction with your knee. It's like you're painting a circle. If your knee were against a wall, be drawing a circle. And if you're going quickly, can you go slowly and make it very, very smooth? And what catches your attention? Can you breathe? So it's not about rolling to make the circle. It's something else. Let's take a rest on the back. Come on to your other side. Fold up your legs so that you could stroke down the outer border, caress your IT band, and take hold of the outer border of the foot. And the knee can point whatever direction it damn well pleases. Keep your thumb together with the rest of your fingers. It's quite a different situation for the shoulder. And now begin this maneuver of bringing your elbow to the inside of the knee and the knee to the outside of the elbow. So it's a large movement through space. The knee makes an arc through space. You keep hold of your foot. You can roll, you can hold your breath, you can not hold your breath, but you exchange the knee and the elbow. They keep trading places in the easiest, simplest way possible. And can you make it fun? Like, wow, this is cool. There's a whole lesson built around this. Maybe we'll do it next week. How does the underneath leg help you? Or does it? Are you moving the elbow or are you moving the knee? Do you move the leg or do you move the elbow? Okay, rest on your side. When you're ready, take hold of your foot again. And staying on your side, keeping your leg parallel to the floor. Can you make little circles with your knee in front of you, staying on your side? Staying on your side. So you have to stabilize something so that you're not rolling. There's no rolling, it's just, and feel how you stabilize. Pause as you need to, and after you've rested, go a few circles in the opposite direction. So can you separate the movement of the leg and the hip joint from the rest of you? But it requires the community of your spine and your core to join together in order for this one individual to have freedom, and that is the hip joint. As my Russian ballet teacher used to say, freedom in cage. Okay, take a rest on your back. Cake's done.
That's Jane, that I don't need to be part of, but I can't shut off the alert.
No worries. No worries.
It's a nice sound.
Yeah. Another angel just got her wings. Okay, so where were we? Okay, come on to your original side. What would that be? Your left side, your left side. And now we're going to make things a bit more unstable. To stay in sync with the rest of the world, make the rest of ourselves, let's make things more unstable. So how are we going to do that? Let's narrow things. So could you lengthen your underneath arm, which may require now you moving your pillow out of the way, so that you can rest your head on your underneath arm, which is long overhead with the palm down. Okay, so your left ear is resting on your upper arm. And now can you extend down your left leg so that it's in a straight line? The underneath leg is long, and the underneath arm is long. Other underneath leg, yeah, the leg closest to the floor is long. So it's like your spine is very, very long. It goes from your heel to your fingertips. That's your spine. And from here,
Straight open leg.
could you, that's if the arm doesn't go, the arm doesn't go, then use a pillow. There you go. And can you catch hold of the outside of the foot of the top leg? And bring the leg so that it is parallel and pointing in front of you. the knee pointing in front of you, and you're lying on your side. And you're holding onto your foot. Okay, let's make things a little easier. Let's bend up the underneath leg. Let's bend up the underneath leg. We'll put on some training wheels. And your arm is long, so that's made things a little unstable. Narrow ledge. And now can you bring your knee closer to your chest and then further away? Closer to your chest and further away. As though you could bring the knee downwards of the leg you're holding onto, and you could bring the heel behind you, like you wanted to kick yourself in the ass. Yeah, there. So the knee folds towards your chest, and then the leg unfolds. And what if you allowed your belly to round forwards? And what if you were to lift your head? And either part of the movement, lift the head, you could bring the head forward, you could bring the head back. So it's like a slow motion swing of the thigh, except you're not rolling to the front and to the back. You're staying on your side. And the leg swings forward and it swings back. And the leg can go, you know, if you were standing, this would be like stretching out your thigh, catching hold of your foot to stretch your thigh. Runners do this frequently. But you're not stretching your thigh. You're bowing yourself. It's like drawing a bow. And your arm is drawing back the bow, and your spine is flexing and extending. Flexing and extending, and you stay on your side. So the path of the leg slices through space, with the inner border of the thigh staying parallel to the floor. And I would suggest taking the head back as you bring the foot back rather than forward. Think of taking the back of the head to look at the sole of your foot. Not that they have to see each other, but there you go. That's the direction. You open up the front. And you are the sacrificial lamb. Okay, let's take a rest on the back. What's your constellation? I see a lot more definition in people's pelvises and hip joints, and I don't know, I can just sense, this potency there. Clear. Come onto your other side. Set yourself up so that you're
potency in my pelvis.
Yes, I can sense potency in pelvises. Absolutely. It's the strongest part of the human anatomy. So bring your underneath arm so that it's long on the floor and you're lying on that narrow ledge with your head. And you can bend up your knees so that you have some stability. Yes, some stability. The underneath leg can be bent. And now catch hold of your outside of your top leg with your hand and your thumb. And start to fold yourself so that, and if you can't catch hold, you catch hold of the heel maybe, if it doesn't work to catch hold of the outside border or the pant or your tights, but keeping your leg parallel, which means you stay on your side. bring the knee closer to the chest. You can round the head and look down. And then open the front of the body and think of taking the foot behind you. Think of taking the knee downwards and maybe even behind you. You can think of it going behind you. It doesn't have to go behind you. And bow your body forwards like a bow and arrow, which requires extending through the back and rounding the body, your belly forward. And you can even, I'll give you a hint, do something with your underneath leg. Okay, think of growing taller. As you start to bring your leg behind you, think of simultaneously going up towards the head. So you're folding backwards, but you're also growing taller on the way, so that your underneath leg might begin to straighten a bit at the hip. You might begin to open the leg at the hip. So both legs are opening at the hip, but you're growing taller. And if you were a Chinese acrobat, you could place the sole of your foot on the top of your head. Just so it requires quite a bit of opening in the front, and the pelvis, think of the pelvis moving. Yes, good. Some of you, the pelvis can even move forward on the floor if you have the right connection through the underneath leg and the ribs. So it's not the underneath leg going forward, it's the pelvis going forward so that the top leg can go behind you. The pelvis can drive forward as the leg goes behind you. Grow taller. Grow taller. As you bring the leg behind you, grow taller. There, yeah, almost. Okay, take a rest on your back. Remember, it's not the destination, it's the journey. It's the journey. We'll revisit this lesson again in a few weeks, and you can see how walking away from it and doing all kinds of other things, I bet will improve it in ways that might surprise you. Okay, more stable. I'm going over time. Are people okay with that?
Yes.
Yes? You okay? All right. Okay. So we started a bit late. So come on to your original side. We'll carry on. Lengthen down your underneath leg and turn yourself into a cigar. So both legs are long and your underneath arm is long. And place your top arm on the floor so that you can stabilize yourself. A hand standing on the floor. And straighten yourself out so that you've got you're very long and very narrow. And find a place of stability here. And staying on your side, can you lift and lower the top leg? And really feel that you're on your side. So there's no turning of the chest or the head or the pelvis towards the ceiling or towards the floor. Now, would it make it easier if you, okay, leave the top leg down and just lift the head? lift the head and the upper body. Stay facing forward. This is very precise. Pretend that your back of your head and the back of your shoulders and the back of your pelvis are resting against a wall. And the back of your head slides against the wall, and so your chest and your head are facing forward to the room in front of you. Now, could you lift the next time you lift your head, could you lift your top leg? And feel what you do. How do you engage with the floor underneath you? And could you lower the head and lower the leg and take twice as long to lower them as you do to raise them? Now you can feel what you're doing with your ribs and your chest. And can you make it smooth? Listen for, is there a stuttering anywhere? Is there a stutter? Can you calm that down? Can you make it so smooth? And come rest on your back. Come on to your other side and make the right side, the side that's in contact with the floor, long. So the leg is long, the arm is long, you're on your side, and you've got your left hand standing on the floor somewhere in front of you to help you stabilize. Now this is not an easy position. You know, usually the men have wider shoulders and a narrow pelvis, and the women have wide hips and narrow shoulders. So take some time getting lined up. Imagine that wall behind you. And simply lift the top leg a few times. Lift and lower. Keep the hand on the floor to help guide you and keep you very precise that you're on your side. That's very nice. Now, could you lift your head? Could you lift your head, leave your leg down, and lift the top part of your spine away from the floor? Now, is your head over your pelvis? Some of you, it looks like the head is behind your chest. So check yourself. Are you on your right armpit? Is your face facing forward, or is your face somehow looking up along the wall in front of you? Keep the face forward, the chest forward, the belly forward. And then lift them both together, the head, the north and the south. Lift them together and lower them slowly, slowly. And listen to how you stabilize your spine. How do you make it smooth? Take out the stutter. Lovely. Okay, come rest on your back. Okay, let's do one last, let's just do one more movement exploration. Come onto your left side. And this time have everything long. So you'll have your underneath arm long with the palm down, your left ear resting on the top of your arm. The palm is down. Both legs are long and resting on each other. And your top arm is resting along your side, your hand somewhere on your pelvis. Now imagine that you're in between two boards, a board in the front and a board in the back. And can you lift your top leg and feel your hands slide up towards the knee and come back down? The leg stays straight. The leg stays facing forward. You do not break in the hip. You do not fold in the front of the pelvis nor in the back. You don't stick out the butt. The head is over the hips. The chest is over the pelvis. The face is looking forward. It's not behind nor in front of your chest. It's right on front. CD, can you bring your head more forward? Yes, there. Now lift your head and your leg as well and let your hand slide up towards your knee. Doesn't have to go far. And stabilize and go down slower than you come up. The leg will not come far. Don't let the leg swing in front of you. Don't break in the front of the groin. Keep that flat. Keep the front of the groin flat. There we go. Come rest on your back. Let's explore that on the other side. So everything long, like a cigar. Head resting on the underneath arm, palm down towards the floor. Like you're in a very narrow hallway with your belly touching one wall and your back touching the other. And now just lift and lower the leg and feel the hands slide up the outer side of the leg. The leg stays parallel, the toes stay facing forward, the knee stays facing forward. And you keep it smooth, smooth. That's lovely. This could be an ad for something. And lift the head as you lift the foot. Does that lifting the head, does that bring your fingers a little closer to your knee? Make sure you don't break at the front of the hip or roll. It's a very narrow situation, very precise. And now lower twice as slow as you lift. And keep breathing. And do that one more time. Lift up and then lower twice as slow as you lift. Okay, rest on your back. So what is your constellation? How far apart are your heels relative to your knees? Relative to your hip joints? Relative to your shoulders? If you were to shine that laser light through the top of your skull and through your interior and out your perineum, how does that pass through you? What do you sense about your spine, your central axis? Is the same leg still closer to that central axis, or did that change? Sense your contact. And sense your central axis. And now turn your right leg so that it's parallel and sweep the heel away from the central axis and back. How does that go now? Keep the leg parallel. Feel how that goes. Did that change? And we did this at the beginning. So did it change? Try the right side, try the other side. Feel how you engage yourself. The knee stays straight. And then take both heels away from each other. Sweep the legs away from each other and back together. Did that change? Did the quality change? Feel how you stabilize yourself to do that. Make that V and come back. When you're ready, roll yourself to your side and bring yourself up to standing. And what is your sense of central axis in standing? What's your sense of your balance? You stand a bit differently than you normally do. How wide are your heels relative to your hips? Okay. We'll call it good.
Yes, it was much easier.
What, did it change at the end?
Yeah,
Yay.
for me, yeah.
Good.
Yes, and I also felt everything engaged from all the way behind the shoulders all the way down to the hips in making those legs go apart and back together.
Yes.
So everything kind of tightened. I don't need like to use it, but engaging to hold it
Mhm.
while you
have to stabilize for freedom. You have to have a cage within which to move, right? Otherwise we'd be all over the place.
Right.
So this would be a lesson that would be good for if you're feeling all over the place. it would sort of help bring you back to center.
Yeah, that was really good. Thank you, Alice.
How you doing, Rich and Linda?
I found it harder to do it at the end than in the beginning. But that could be my other issues affecting it. Being tired.
Well, it did get hotter.
Yes, it did.
Got hotter. Yeah. So
But I'm excited to be moving, and you know, I've most of it felt pretty good and pretty clear for me. So I was grateful that my knees were not totally distracting me and stuff. So that was cool.
Yeah, chase the attention somewhere else. Yeah. Chase it to the places that do work.
Yeah.
When we did the elbow on the inside and then the outside of the knee,
Yes.
my sides were so different. The left side was so different.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Like it belongs to someone else. Yeah. That. Yeah.
Completely different movement.
Completely different.
I did this on the right side. It was really pretty smooth, and I understand what you mean now. Where does this leg go? Where does this arm go?
Exactly.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That's why these lessons are so rich, because you get a chance to encounter yourself and to work, to figure it out. It's a puzzle. It's like a Zen cone.
Really.
It was good. Yeah. Thanks.